And we're all proud that the World Cup is coming to South Africa, which is on African soil for the very first time.
I'm so excited that South Africans are going to be seen worldwide.
I want to see Bafana Bafana.
I'm looking for us to basically impress as much as we can those overseas guys that are coming this side, to actually show them that it's a continent and a country worth living in, and to actually show them that we're great people.
Go Bafana Bafana!
I've got my ticket for the World Cup. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the rest of the world to come here in South Africa.
By people coming to our country, it will also teach the world about South Africa. So people can't be like, when you go to America, aren't you wearing those animal skins? Then they will come and see that South Africa is just moja.
The world must know Africa can do it.
We World Cup, my boo, yeah, Africa, my daughter, my boo, yeah.
Welcome to South Africa.
In 1990, here on the southern tip of Africa, a deal was made to lift the decades-old ban on all political parties who are opposing one of history's most notorious and oppressive regimes. The African National Congress, an army largely in exile, was no longer forced to fight a war of bullets from the shadows against the racist creators of apartheid. In 1990, the father of the nation, Madiba, Nelson Mandela, walked free into a new world.
The day he has also been waiting for.
And then 4 years later, we cried tears of joy as we witnessed Nelson Mandela being the first democratically elected president of this, the new South Africa.
Never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression.
Excellent! Finally a black president to represent. I know it, so I speak it. I saw it, so I rip it. The poet will freak it when I flow with the picket. So I did it.
In 1995, Francois Pienaar led South Africa's Springboks to victory in the first ever Rugby World Cup final here at Ellis Park. Joel Stransky kicked the drop goal that would unite a nation against a seemingly indomitable squad of all blacks. Madiba, our hero, was there to celebrate the victory with his people.
We got stronger, and we had a scrum inside just on their 22. Mertens was standing wide. Bishop was very focused on US Van der Westhuizen, and this gaping hole for me to kick the ball through, was exposed. I called to the forwards, cancel the back row move, and they changed the move. The ball came back, and fortunately it went over. I was sitting watching that movie Invictus the other night, and my wife said to me, imagine if the kick had missed.
I feel that if it was not for the World Cup in 1995, the Rugby World Cup, I'm telling you, this country wouldn't be where it is today.
95, we'll start with that because that was the Rugby World Cup, which came through at a very difficult time when people were still discussing, debating issues about the Springbok emblem. Should the Springbok emblem be kept? Should the Springbok emblem go?
In 1995, we were sportsmen. We played the game of rugby, and we loved the game of rugby. We played it with all our hearts and all our souls.
We remember 1995 with the Springboks win at the rugby. I think it unified the nation a lot, as you may recall. At the beginning, black people were supporting England and white people were supporting the Boks. And of course, Nelson Mandela, he was the spearhead of all of that. That if we can show this much unity with regards to sport, if we did that across our society, it would do some wonderful things.
And through our former president, Mr. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who came out and really took upon himself that we have to reconcile. There was reconciliation.
The one unifying factor that came through was obviously Nelson Mandela, who, despite the efforts of Louis Late to take him to court as the president of the country, sort of overlooked all of that. And he stuck to his guns and he said, we're going to have a combined anthem. We're going to have a Springbok emblem, because as part of reconciliation, you can't just discard it and say it's payback time.
After the final whistle, I will tell you now, even those who knew nothing about rugby, we were celebrating, and for the first time we all felt that we are South Africans, black and white.
And to have participated in a World Cup was a great honour. To have had it in our country was an even more special honour. To have won it was the ultimate honour. But politically, looking back, as that more mature person now, you know, the role of Nelson Mandela, at the time we realised how significant it was, but now looking back, it was probably more significant than anyone could ever have imagined.
So it was great being the best in the world of rugby, but here in South Africa, we love soccer above all else. And the prospect of our national team, affectionately known as Bafana Bafana, being on the road to greatness took the national spirit to a whole new level. A year later, in 1996, South Africa hosted football's Africa Cup of Nations. Once again, sport was to prove a unifying force, bringing people together in celebration.
Can he get a second This is a chance.
Take you back.
South Africa is a country with a great diversity of origins, languages, cultures, and even religions. Its 11 official languages are a testament to the fact that it embraces the challenges presented by a divided past.
Straight from the holy ground.
With a population of around 50 million people, South Africa has become synonymous with the struggle for freedom. But it is also renowned for its immense natural beauty and for the fact that it is Africa's richest economy.
This one's from the motherland. One time for that mind. Ishmael's getting wild. There is no place like
In what is deemed by former South African President Thabo Mbeki to be Africa's century, South Africa certainly is leading the way for the rest of the continent.
there is no place like Saturday afternoon.
However, it is not a country without its difficulties. Unemployment is high and income inequality continues to increase. A poor reputation with regards to crime, corruption, and some of the highest rates of HIV/AIDS infection in the world are some of the challenges which the ANC-led government now confront. But of course, we're a young country, merely a teenager, 15 years old to be exact, and just like any other teenager, we will learn, we will grow, and once in a while we'll throw a big party and you're all invited. Welcome to our South Africa of 2010.
In the 1994 World Cup in the United States, after seeing the opening ceremony and all of the event aspects of the World Cup in the United States, when we came back and made a report to SAFA, we took a decision in September of that year, 1994, to lodge our intention to bid for the 2006 World Cup, which we've done on the 16th September 1994. We sent a letter to FIFA and registered to be one of the bidding countries to host 2006 World Cup.
South Africa came this close to hosting the 2006 FIFA World Cup, but unfortunately for us, Germany pipped us to the post with 12 of their votes against our 11. But what's interesting was FIFA rated our bid equal to that of Germany's. At the end of the day, it all came down to a numbers game. Having hosted the 1995 Rugby World Cup, the 1996 CAF Africa Cup of Nations, the 1998 IAAF Athletics World Cup, the 1999 All-Africa Games, and the 2003 ICC Cricket World Cup, South Africa had a proven track record of staging major international sporting events. So, Danny Jordan and the South African bid committee dusted themselves off and in 2002 notified FIFA of their intentions to bid again for the 2010 event. And this time, with FIFA introducing a system of rotation amongst the various confederations, South Africa would be competing for the right to host the first ever African World Cup. The message was simple but powerful. South Africa had the best stadia, it had strong commercial backing from leading international corporations, the continent's largest and most stable economy, a sophisticated media and broadcast industry, and a huge South African support base from its millions of citizens.
Of course, when it came back, we were absolutely destroyed. It was difficult, a tough moment to spend 6 years on the road since '94. and then to lose in the end was not something that sat very well or easy with us. But we've been on this road before, you know, we've been engaged in the liberation of our country, and there too we had many setbacks. But the idea to host the World Cup one day was far more important than a setback like the defeat in 2006. But when we landed at the airport at Oliver Tambo International, the people were there. The people of the countries decided to come to the airport to welcome us. And it was just an amazing experience. We couldn't get out of the airport. We had to go onto the balcony just to wave to them as they were standing there, singing, dancing, chanting, as if we won. And so we immediately felt that the clear vote of confidence by the people, in effect saying, it's a setback, it's not a defeat. You must go again, you must bid again. And we had to drive through the streets of Soweto to just greet the people as they gathered all over and saying to us, go back. This World Cup must be hosted in our country.
I discovered it with you. Connu? The 2010 FIFA World Cup will be organized in South Africa.
It was almost a second liberation, that our country is on the lips and of the mind of the world again. Our country has been found to be worthy. Our country is a trusted ally of FIFA and of the world, and they would bring the biggest event on earth to our country because they trust us. It was a huge statement, and of course a very emotional moment, a very difficult moment, but a joyous and a huge celebration with Archbishop Desmond Tutu there, was praying all the time that this time God must be kind on us. And of course he immediately broke out in his own silent prayer. And Nelson Mandela was there dropping a tear. And he was so joking with, but it was a heavy emotional moment. Knowing the road that we've traveled to arrive at a democratic country that is now being accepted as part of the global family of nations.
The FIFA World Cup is expected to inject over £5 billion to the South African economy. The event has also created over 415,000 jobs. In a country where poverty is rife, the opportunity to work on sites like the newly constructed Soccer City is not only a great source of income, but also of great pride for all those involved.
I got the Bennett plus blues, cause that's how guys like us do. Guys from the numberless Bundu sheks. You relax and let me cast it tell you. When I come past, I'll allow you. Party boy, bamba clad you. Victor Joseph, but fucking for the Khashu. Let just school fees just for balling the clubs. Who's the fool? Who's gonna finally find you?
Nna ke nna Solomon Chikana ke le wa bontsha se ke se dirang go Soccer City as ke le supervisor ba bontsha gore ke dirile eng le eng mo Soccer City ke tla ba bontsha everything ke dirileng le ge dirileng go batho ba bangwe le instruction tsa ka le mo ke berekang ona ke tla ba bontsha ona gore mo ke mo ke berekang ona ke bontsha gore ke shomang go Soccer City. Thomile o bereka mo Soccer City ka first phase ya mathomo ka 1988. So oni wale ba rile ba khumana project e ntšha e ke bona mo dipampiri ba re green ka e khumane a new project ya government mo FNB o renovator stadium se o se etsa Soccer City se sa ba FNB. Responsibility ya ka mo o tlhokomela quality ya mmereko, o tlhokomela babereki gore ba bereka ka safety because ntho mathomo mo FNB mo Soccer City safety first. That's why at least I reach 500,000 hours ra kry-a le t-shirt mo FNB bao ba ngwala bote ba re this is the home of no injury. Mo soccering ke supporta Orlando Pirates. That's my best team. Ke a favor le ko motseng wa ka kumari wa ka bana ba ka ba babedi o mathomo o le ena a bereka mo beating yona e a bereka under the Diero ona mo stadium sona se kore it's by surprise ke bereke mmereko o ile re utlo holder le mafase ka moka atamo and then nna ke le party ya mmereko I'm very happy about that. I'm very proud.
A total of 6 brand new stadiums have been constructed in time for the World Cup next year, which kicks off on the 11th of June here at Soccer City in 2010. 4 existing stadiums have undergone a tremendous amount of upgrade and refurbishment. Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria, home of rugby's Blue Bulls, was originally constructed in 1923. With a capacity of 49,400 people, Loftus is renowned as a ground which favors the home team. Interestingly, Bafana Bafana have never played a football international there. South Africa's most ardent supporters, the fans of local Premier Soccer League team Bloemfontein Celtic, fill the Free State Stadium on a weekly basis to its 48,000 capacity. Bloemfontein successfully played host to a number of Confederations Cup matches.
Well, actually, the revamp of the stadium, I think, was an initiative from the Mangaung municipality. And basically that was for the bid of the soccer for 2010, and we just hosted the Confed Cup in Vodacom Park, while then for the soccer purposes the Free State Stadium. And actually now it's a lovely stadium, 46,000 seater with nice facilities, upgraded change rooms for players and media facilities. Yeah, it's actually a really nice stadium now.
We also have at Bloemfontein Celtic different types of songs. When children are playing and celebrating as they grow up and we teach them the culture of Bloemfontein Celtic, they usually sing Break My Partile, a hide and seek type of game. Now the reason why we say hide and seek, it is only because even when our team is playing, we are expecting them to hide as our opponents come to us, and they must appear and ferociously so attack when our opponents are dizzy by then. We have also told ourselves that we have indulged ourselves 100%. This team is our soul, our love, our heart, our greatest inspiration. Without Celtic, life is perpetually incomplete.
Named after the regional tribe, the Royal Bafokeng Stadium in South Africa's Northwest Province is situated 12 kilometers from the center of the host city of Rustenburg. The much-anticipated group match between England and USA will take place here. The first of Johannesburg's 2 stadiums, Ellis Park, has played host to some of South Africa's greatest sporting triumphs. Recently, it was the venue for South Africa's 1-0 defeat to Brazil in the Confederations Cup. However, it will always be remembered in South Africa as the stadium in which Nelson Mandela celebrated with a victorious 1995 Rugby World Cup winning squad. These have been the traditional hunting grounds for South African sportsmen and women for years. Now in 2010, a new generation of sporting theatres will open its doors to the dreams of sportsmen and women, not only from this country, but from across the world.
I was a general worker. If I became a general worker, I can't go to labor. Labor, Saturday sale. But today, I want to 1 year contract with Camponchayona, Cassie.
Hi, my name is Lenky Libber. I'm the senior foreman on the site here. I'm working with Solly here. He's my supervisor for the last 2.5 years. Very liable man. You can trust him and he do his job very well.
I'm Takayani Manyuma. I'm a site engineer in this project. I've been working with Solly for the past 12.5 years as well. You know, Solly's a very good guy. You know, we always give him instructions. We always do what we tell him.
So you guys must be proud this coming FIFA 2010 FIFA. It's a big event.
FNB Soccer City ya mafelo rena construction re o dirile mmereko wa rena di city kitche balatedi ba thopa sa Bafana e tlang le lebeleleng match wa lena wa Bafana ka mohara stadium se sa FNB sharp.
Of course, Soccer City is not the only new stadium being built for 2010. Port Elizabeth's Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium was the venue for a match during the recent tour of the British and Irish Lions to South Africa and will host 2010's third and fourth place playoff. It seats 45,931 people and its design is said to have been inspired by the South African national plant and sporting symbol, the Protea. It was the first of the new stadiums to be completed, having been ready for a full year before the start of the World Cup.
You know, we targeted to have about 48,000 seats in the stadium. I think we're going to fall short by a couple of hundred or so. But basically, that will be I'm talking legacy now, post-2010. There'll be a few less seats, of course, for the World Cup because we're putting in a huge media platform at the top level, on level 5. So PE is a very compact city. We call it the 20-minute city. You can get anywhere in 20 minutes, basically, you know. And so that assists us quite a lot. The other thing is that as you can see in this stadium, home teams are going to have a huge advantage in this stadium because the crowd is almost on top of the pitch. So you're playing football, you'll have the 12th person, very active here.
The province of Limpopo in the northern part of South Africa is home to the Peter Mokaba Stadium, which will host 4 first-round matches in 2010. This 45,000 capacity stadium in host city Polokwane took design inspiration from the famous baobab tree.
Hoping come June 2010, it will even be more sunny during the day. You enjoy the natural sun and environment, but go out into the city, then you meet a lot of friendly people, very welcoming people. They get you to places that you want to go to with ease and you feel free. And of course, we don't want to emphasize the fact that we're the safest province in South Africa. Statistics have proven over the number of years. And so that's what you come to enjoy in Polokwane. The Fan Park has been relocated to a place which is about 2 kilometers away from the stadium, actually 1.3 kilometers away from the main stadium. And what that place does is that it's a cricket club. It has hosted a number of events before. So we're going to make a very nice short 5 mile. It's about 1.3 kilometers, which is moving from the city center, getting into the Fan Park.
The city of Nelspruit in Mpumalanga is situated just an hour away from the famous Kruger National Park. Its stadium, the Mbombela Stadium, holds 46,000 people and will host 4 first-round matches. Mbombela literally translates to many people together in a small place.
We got very exciting feedbacks. People believe this is one of the rare jewels that we have, one of what would actually call a design wonder of the country. A very beautiful stadium that also blends not just the culture, but most importantly, the wildlife experience into it. As you can see, the giraffes that are towering above our skies and the seats that are a reflection of the zebras. This for me is, I think, one of the most exciting and impressive pieces, of creation.
Arguably one of the most spectacular of the 6 new stadiums, the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, named for the famous freedom fighter, is easily recognizable for its breathtaking arch that now dominates the city skyline. A cable car and walkway built on top of the arch offers visitors a unique and thrilling experience. Durban will be host to one of the semi-final matches.
Everything that FIFA did, look at the sustainability issues from an environmental point of view. Every light in here is energy efficient, so we've got LED lights in here. All of the water from the roof goes into rainwater tanks which are beneath us here. It's stored here and then it's used to water the grass in the fields and in the parks surrounding here. So we thought through sustainability issues. We thought about economic sustainability. On the other side of the stadium, we built a sky car that will take you up the arch and you can look out over the city. On the southern end, you can walk up the arches and you can even take a bungee jump off the top there. We've got a retail centre within it. So each of those, we said, we want to make it sustainable. We don't want this to be a burden on the ratepayers of the city. And equally, we want it to be a home 24/7, 365 days a year.
The controversial Cape Town Stadium, with its glass roof, is situated between Table Mountain and the Atlantic Ocean and holds 68,000 spectators. When complete, it will be the centerpiece of an extensive sports and recreation precinct, including practice and playing fields for several different sporting codes. Cape Town will also host a semi-final match at the 2010 FIFA World Cup. It is, however, Soccer City on the border between the city of Johannesburg and Soweto that is truly the flagship venue for the FIFA World Cup 2010. In the year of the event, it will be the most photographed building in the world and is one of the largest stadiums ever to host World Cup matches. Designed to represent a calabash or African traditional bowl, it holds a whopping 91,500 spectators. It is the venue for the first and final games of the 2010 World Cup, and it is truly the jewel in South Africa's footballing crown. Upon arrival at the newly renovated OR Tambo International Airport here in Johannesburg, you can't help but be struck by the amount of infrastructural development that is taking place here in South Africa. Improvements to the transport system were a vital part of the South African government's guarantees to FIFA. In a country where formal public transport is relatively non-existent, it was crucial to implement a clear plan for each of the host cities. This will allow visitors to the country to move freely between points of interest and match stadiums. You see, traditionally, the informal and privately owned taxi industry, like here in downtown Johannesburg at Bree Street, has dominated the public transport system across South Africa. In Johannesburg, the implementation and construction of the Bus Rapid Transit System, or BRT, also known as Rea Vaya, which means we are going, was met with great opposition from the taxi drivers, who feared a threat to their livelihood. This is an industry renowned for being a hotbed of unrest and violence. In fact, when the BRT was launched on the 31st of August 2009, the concerns were such that armed military personnel were placed on buses to ensure no reprisal from the disgruntled taxi drivers. As it stands today, the system has almost been incident-free. You see, us as South Africans, we have a weird way of making a big deal out of things. But at the end of the day, we always find a way to sort it all out. It is the new South Africa after all.
The situation has been improved as a result of the industry buy-in that we're experiencing. I think we're also on the verge of finalizing the concerns with the taxi industry. And once that is signed and sealed, we think that it will all be smooth sailing. And of course, some of that is holding back our plans to fully roll out the system. But safe to say that we have a tight security plan that comprises of the South African Police Services, JMPD, Gauteng Traffic Police, private security. And of course, I think key in the system are the commuters themselves, who are giving us constant feedback on issues that they pick up. But so far, it's been going very well. We haven't had serious crime-related issues, bar for people stepping on the wrong part and injuring themselves, but very minor incidents so far.
Sisaqalile nje amabhasi mina kimi ngiphatheke kahle angiboni inkinga noma itraffic ikhona bona hamba nje endleleni yawo ayishiya itraffic ngiyofika kahle la ngiyakhona ngesikhathi iright impela nje ngoba phela njoba ngihleli lapha ngihleli nje kamnandi kabi impela nje hayi nomntana nami nje angimgonanga nokumgona ngihleli nje kahle
njoba ngireyile so nomoya yezwa nje hayi ya uva utop kulekile nje
ya BRT yone icheap ngamanda ne karne the customer banameli ishap cheap.
Getting around South Africa is going to be made easy thanks to extensive transport projects. From airport city links to intelligent transport systems, South Africa is ready to get you where you want to go. The amount of road work that's been taking place here in South Africa over the last couple of years is actually a good reason why the World Cup should get here already. Being stuck in traffic has somewhat become a normal thing here in South Africa. So, roll on 2010 before I have to get myself a scooter. And I really don't want a scooter.
Well, people can use Karabu's taxi. I can squeeze in 4 bodies in my Ford Fiesta. But public transport is still a big challenge. We have, in the major cities, they started rolling out the bus rapid transit system, which was modeled on various other models around the world. And I don't have this for a fact that, it has worked rather well in Brazil. I hope that it'll work well here.
I don't think transport is ever going to be sorted out. I don't think the capacity is here to deal with all the travellers. I know that during the British Rugby Lions tour in 2009, there were severe problems with people taking flights because the domestic flights, they're not used to people taking 20 kgs of luggage. They're used to people getting on with a laptop. So a lot of luggage was left behind in the airports and didn't necessarily make it through to the guy who had the luggage for another 3 to 4 days. And that's with 35,000 fans, and there's anything between 300 and 500,000 fans expected.
The best way is still to use your own transport.
In order to stage a successful World Cup tournament, a country needs to be able to make a certain number of guarantees to the governing body of FIFA. South Africa made 17 guarantees provided by various government departments, covering access to the country, safety and security, healthcare services, transport and telecommunications. These guarantees not only enable a country to successfully host the event, they leave a lasting legacy by improving infrastructure and by accelerating development. This is the power of an event that, in terms of television audiences, is the most popular sporting event in the world, bigger even than the Olympics. In 2006, the FIFA World Cup was broadcast in 214 countries on 376 channels. That meant a staggering amount of 73,072 hours of television. With a cumulative audience of 26 billion people, a similar number is expected next year, with internet and mobile usage expected to go up dramatically. These type of figures illustrate what it means to a country to host the FIFA World Cup. A country will benefit in all areas of trade and commerce. Both the formal and informal sectors have an opportunity to capitalize on what will be a momentous occurrence in the history of South Africa. Tourism in particular has a lot to benefit from the World Cup. Why? Because as South Africa, we've got a lot to offer. FIFA requires that South Africa provide 53,000 hotel rooms for visitors to the country. Match is the professional service company selected by FIFA to provide ticketing, accommodation, and event information technology services to FIFA. Basically, when it comes to accommodation, Match needs to make sure that there are enough beds for people. Whether camping in the bush in the Kruger National Park outside of Nelspruit or enjoying the good life in the Camps Bay beaches of Cape Town, South Africa really does have something to satisfy every taste. Soweto is one of South Africa's most important cultural hotspots. Vilakazi Street in Orlando West in Soweto is only 5 minutes away from Soccer City and is the only street in the world to have housed 2 Nobel Peace Prize winners, struggle veterans Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu. With Walter Sisulu living around the corner, it must have been a very exciting place to live in. But sadly, this is where the infamous riots of 1976 began. If you don't feel like the usual fancy-pantsy 5-star hotel accommodation, you can always try something different for the experience. Like the place behind me, it's called Lebu's Backpackers in Soweto. It is small and innovative businesses like the Soweto Backpackers that are testament to a great range of options open to visitors to South Africa. The owner converted his grandmother's house into a low-cost hotel. Offering cycle tours of the surrounding area, it's a place where you can truly experience the rich and vibrant township of Soweto. From drinking traditional beer at the local hostel to eating meat with the locals, this is the heart of South Africa, a social and cultural melting pot responsible for nurturing some of the world's greatest leaders. Everybody who comes to South Africa leaves a little something different. It might be standing on top of Table Mountain or spotting our big 5 animals. But I guarantee you this, if you come to South Africa next year, you will leave with extra special memories.
FIFA has 208 countries who are members of FIFA. And so to be part of that small and elite group of countries and being the first developing country to host a 32-nation event is a huge statement for a young democracy like South Africa. Because what is the world saying? They are saying you can deliver world-class stadiums. You can deliver the airports to bring in all of the people from all over the world. You have the hotels to accommodate everyone. The quality of your hotels are amongst the best in the world. The broadcast and IT infrastructure, the telecoms and technology is such that we can deliver the event. And so it's a huge statement, and those things are also the key requirements for business, for investment, for trade, for tourism. So if the world accepts that South Africa has the ability to deliver the World Cup, then the world also accepts that South Africa is the destination for tourism, for trade and investment. And it is a very good platform to bring that message to the world. And that message is now understood and accepted all over the world.
All across South Africa, people are getting into the spirit of 2010, finding new and innovative ways to cash in on the football frenzy. You don't have to look very far to find memorabilia to stuff into your bag to take home with you when the event is finished. Take this for an example. It's called a kelpzela, an alternative to the controversial vuvuzela. In Cape Town, kelp washes up on the beach. It's dried out, painted, and lo and behold, nature's own noisemaker. Recently, of course, the vuvuzela has come under fire, with some countries trying to have it banned during the World Cup. FIFA President Sepp Blatter has gotten behind the vuvuzela, and it looks like this symbol of South African soccer will be every bit a part of the celebration. Something I'm sure South Africans are pretty happy about is how we score our goals. First, we distract you like this, then we score the goal.
The vuvuzela is a South African thing, but there's a bit of a myth about the vuvuzela. I understand that it's been around for decades when it's not really been around for anything more than, let's say, 7, 8, 9 years. But whatever happens, it is a South African accompaniment to football matches, and I don't really think it's a problem, and I think the Europeans should just sort of leave it and let the South Africans go. I think it'll be great. I think it'll create an atmosphere a bit like in the 1982 World Cup in Spain, where all you heard was this din and the vuvuzela type sound coming in the background, and you watch on the telly now and you listen on the telly and the atmosphere sounds fantastic. So that's going to be great. For the players and the coaches, I don't think it's so good. Can they get the message across to their players when there are 90,000 vuvuzelas going off? That's something that remains to be seen. Personally, I'm sitting in the commentary box as well, so I can actually hear my colleagues. But if you're sitting in the stands, it's going to be quite difficult to have a conversation with the guy next to you. But bring it on, it's all part of the atmosphere.
One innovation that already made its mark during the Confederations Cup, and which will certainly become a symbol of this event, is the makarapa. Okay, say it slowly with me now. Makarapa. This truly homegrown headpiece was invented by Alfred Magistrate Baloyi, who still makes them from a shack in an informal settlement near Edenvale, east of Johannesburg. He made his first makarapa way back in 1970. In South Africa, there is one important football derby you can't ignore. The Kaizer Chiefs of Soweto are arch rivals with the Orlando Pirates of Soweto. Their fans reflect the passion and the spirit of SA soccer. But when Bafana take to the field, all club allegiances crumble, and it is the green and gold which dominates. Ultimately, it's the soccer supporters who will benefit from next year's FIFA World Cup. But it seems like the allure of the beautiful game sometimes does something to them. Our biggest soccer supporter here in our country is Saddam Make.
Yes, South African, wherever you are with your family, you staying home, you're watching the TV, big screen, you're at the stadium, whatever. Here's the song that we have to sing for the South Africa to get ready. And then, Yongelenda, South Africa, ya pume. Yongelenda, South Africa, ya pume. Yongelenda, South Africa, ya pume. Yongelenda, oh, South Africa, ya pume. Lenale, 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 South Africa, ya pume.
And then I used to go to stadium. I was active, like traveling, supporting my team left and right. People didn't believe I even lost the job because the team was playing during the week and the weekend, and my boss didn't want me to go to stadium. I have to dodge, go to the stadium, they see me on the TV, I go to the DC, they're trying to punish me and whatever. I have to leave the job and get another job, and then leave it, get another job. And it was tough, but to me, it was good for me because it's what I want. I even lost my wife. She divorced me because of the soccer. I get another wife. She also did the same. The last one passed away in 2002. I just feel myself, I must stay with my family. My first wife is a soccer and my family together. So I think to me, that's why I call myself soccer slave. But I've been #1 supporter for 15 years. But now I'm looking for somebody to take over to educate supporters as well to do like me. Because I travel the whole world. I educate them what to do, behave, attend, traveling, put your right merchandiser, talk about soccer, sleep soccer, eat soccer. This is our country. We must be jealous of our country. We don't want to see the stadium full with the visitors. We must, as a host, to be at the stadium, put your bum on the seat to support your country.
The spirit of 2010 around South Africa is unquestionable, but there's still a lot of work to be done before kickoff next year to make sure that no stone is left unturned and no idea overlooked. The success of the Confederations Cup left no questions around South Africa's capability to host the event. However, there are still perceptions outside of South Africa which need to be addressed. Foreigners who have never been to South Africa remain cautious when it comes to safety and security. It is true that South Africa's reputation as a dangerous country precedes it. However, an event-free Confederations Cup has gone some way to alleviate these concerns. South Africa is spending 1.3 billion rand on safety and security for the World Cup, including remotely piloted aircraft, water cannons, and metal detectors.
If you look at the Confederation Cup, during certain days of the Confederation Cup, we had absolutely no crime in a radius around the stadiums, accommodation, those areas where we've deployed members based on information. We also tested our contingency plans. We had contingency plans for various possible threats. And I think if one look at how we've conducted ourselves during the event, I think it was a major success and a lesson for us on how we can conduct ourselves during the World Cup.
My main concern is that people will, English fans, for example, they like a drink, and this is a country where you can't just get a taxi on the street, which I think is going to be a big problem because people are going to have to wait for their transport in and out of stadiums. English fans don't like to do that. They want to go and have a beer immediately, and if they can't find transport, they'll just walk. And if they walk into some dodgy areas, one wonders what will happen. Hopefully, the spirit of the World Cup will win, and everybody will chat and have fun. But if there is a bit of an altercation, English fans like to fight with fists. South Africans like to use weapons that are slightly more dangerous, and it is a concern, and I think incidents will happen, and incidents did happen during the Confederation Cup, but they've been glossed over since by the organisers.
In 1986, when I joined Mamelodi Sundowns, then our boss decided to take all of us to the FA Cup, and I was mugged 2 tickets, mugged at Wembley. You know, that is crime, but nothing was said about that.
The one thing that has obviously, risen its little head is the crime issue. And I would say to people who are thinking of coming, who are considering not coming because of the crime issue, you can go anywhere in the world and you can be a victim of crime. You can go to LA, London, Paris, New York, you can go into Central Africa. It doesn't matter where you are. If you go to the wrong place at the wrong time, crime exists in the whole world. And I think South Africa is no different. So don't believe that crime is the major influence. But when you do come, take caution and take the good advice and listen to those who give you the good advice. And if you do that, you will have a wonderful experience, a wonderful World Cup, and you'll be at one of the greatest events ever hosted.
South Africa boasts an increasingly sophisticated security system. The Joburg inner city, for example, is monitored by over 300 remote cameras that are constantly policed. The fact is that South Africa is no more dangerous than any other country in the world, just as long as you don't put yourself in the line of danger. Another issue that needs to be addressed is the inclusion of South Africa's neighbours in what has been heralded the African World Cup. The fact is, the organizing committee have not done a lot to include Africa, a point which is emphasized by World Cup ambassador and Africa's greatest footballer, Roger Miller.
Le message d'abord c'est au comité d'organisation de rectifier le tir le plus rapidement possible en ce qui concerne Georges Weah-Abedi Pelé et moi-même et de faire en sorte que la promesse qui a été faite, le titre d'ambassadeur qu'ils nous ont donné, hein, vraiment que cela soit réalisé. Parce que ce serait quand même ça, quand même été quelque chose d'officiel que tout le monde entier a vu. Et si aujourd'hui, qu'il puisse y avoir ce malentendu, je ne sais pas si les gens seront contents. Je ne sais même pas si les Sud-Africains eux-mêmes seront contents. Donc je leur demande tout simplement de corriger rapidement le tir parce que lorsqu'un homme donne sa parole, il faut qu'il la respecte. Et comme je sais que c'est des hommes de parole, j'espère qu'ils vont respecter les paroles. Il n'y a pas de suivi, il n'y a pas de suivi. Depuis ce temps, depuis déjà 2 ans, il n'y a pas de suivi. Je pense quand même que nous faisons partie du football africain et étant les ambassadeurs de l'Afrique du Sud, nous devons assister à d'autres réunions concernant l'organisation de la Coupe du Monde. Bon, cela ne se fait plus. Au début, c'était bien, mais depuis un moment, ça ne se fait plus. Je ne voudrais pas qu'il y ait un peu de substitution plus tard, que les gens commencent à dire que bon, c'est si machin, tout. Je ne voudrais pas cela parce que ce ne serait pas une bonne image, pour l'Afrique du Sud et pour le continent africain. Donc vraiment, de grâce, je leur demande tout simplement de corriger et de rectifier le tir le plus rapidement possible. Ils ont toutes nos adresses, ils savent où nous sommes, ils peuvent nous contacter le plus rapidement et le plus facilement possible.
For example, you travel throughout the continent of Africa, it's like nothing is happening at all. Even I raised the question many times. I say, but people are saying this is an African World Cup, but nothing is done in Africa. No promotion, no marketing, nothing. For example, at the beginning of this year, we had the African Nation Cup Under-20 in Rwanda. There was nobody from the LOC to go there and market the 2010 World Cup in Africa. This is a CAF event. The media, generally speaking, is controlled by the West. And when there is a small event happening here, especially regarding crime, they blow it out of proportion to the point that most people believe that the minute you land in South Africa, you are in trouble. And most of the time, I have many people coming after they good stay in South Africa, going back, but they say, Mamadou, where is the crime people are talking about? I say, well, maybe you were one of the lucky ones, but you and me, we all know that that problem exists, but it exists everywhere.
Another area that begs South Africa's attention is its commitment in ensuring that the World Cup becomes an environmentally friendly event. Already, estimates put carbon emissions to be generated as a consequence of the World Cup at 8 times the level of emissions generated at the 2006 event. Fans must fly long distances to reach South Africa, as well as to travel between host cities. Carbon offset programs are, however, being put into place, and the organizing committee has launched its Green Goal project to ensure an environmentally friendly event. Of course, no event the size of the World Cup can go off without any problems, but you need only to speak to people in the streets of South Africa to realize how excited they are in putting on the best World Cup the world has ever seen. And how do you feel about the fact that the World Cup is coming to South Africa next year?
No, I'm feeling very happy because maybe it's going to be a lot of opportunities for young people to recognize those who are playing soccer especially.
How do you feel about the fact that the World Cup is coming to South Africa next year?
I'm so excited actually that we're going to meet people, different people from outside and different races, and show them what South Africa has to offer, basically.
Do you think we're ready though?
I'm concerned about the infrastructure in terms of stadiums and some of the roads that are not finished yet. But with the budget that SAFA has got from the FIFA guys, I think they should be able to finish off in time.
Do you think South Africa is ready though to host the games?
Yeah, I think we are. We're very enthusiastic. The stadiums are ready. And I think everyone is just so excited to show them what we are here to offer.
Do Do you think South Africa is ready though to host the games?
Obviously it's ready, but we can see the preparation, it's almost done. It's everywhere. You can see around the street that the World Cup is coming to South Africa.
What are some of the things that you've been noticing that have changed that look good to you?
Our transport system, especially in Johannesburg, is picked up.
Germany 2006 saw the introduction of fan parks. These were a huge success, drawing massive crowds. 10 years ago, people would have been discouraged from traveling to the World Cup without tickets. Now anyone and everyone can come, ticket or not. Up to 1 million people are expected to visit South Africa over the World Cup period, and fan parks both locally and internationally will allow people to celebrate the World Cup whether they are inside the stadium or not. Fans of the game will not only come to play, they will also come to work. The volunteer program, open to people from around the world, is vital to the smooth running of the event. Over 68,000 people have applied for 15,000 positions. It is the volunteers who actually make the tournament happen. Successful applicants will work in one of 16 functional areas ranging from accreditation to information services to information technology and hospitality and ushering. Volunteers truly represent the spirit of goodwill that exists around the World Cup, a spirit that grows every day in every corner here in South Africa.
If we can wear our football shirts, join in for the next 31 Football Fridays, focus on honing our performance at those key moments of truth in our lives, remind ourselves to be great hosts. Remember to fly the flag whenever you get the opportunity. Remember to sing and respect the national anthem and support the national team. But I want to actually call everybody a member today of Team South Africa. Let's work together and let's deliver the world's first full-colour World Cup.
Every Friday here in South Africa has been declared Football Fridays. An initiative supported by government. People are encouraged to wear football jerseys every Friday, preferably a Bafana jersey, not Mexico, because we're going to pitch in our first game.
Well, you know, after the draw, that's when I saw it everywhere you go, every Friday, and sometimes every day, you see people wearing the Bafana jersey. And there's that excitement now that we know who is in Group A, who is in Group B, and we can pick the teams, the games that we want to go and watch. There's a big excitement. You know how passionate South Africans are when it comes to soccer. You ain't seen nothing.
I'm wearing actually each and every Friday a South African jersey, just to portray that I love my country and I'm proud of them.
All I can say to the people coming into the country for the World Cup is that you're coming to one of the best countries you'll ever have in the world. Yes, it's got shortcomings, it's got shortfalls like any other country in the world, but if you want to experience South Africa, be part of the experience. Don't sit on the edges and make a noise looking in. Be part of it because you will enjoy it. Take time to travel. If you're not going to be going to games on certain days, make time. Go around the country, see what it has, and you'll find yourself actually thinking, wow, this is actually a country I could come back to.
Okay, we're going to try to do our best, and we hope you're going to enjoy us as South Africans, and we're waiting on you guys. Thank you.
Oh, I love to say they can come and everything will be fine. The security, because always they're complaining for the security, crime, everything will be fine. We prepare for this thing. They come and enjoy with us. We are waiting for this 2010.
I want to say they are all welcome. I want the people of the world to all come to South Africa and see this beautiful country. A country that I don't even have to say a word about it. It speaks for itself. It is one country that has everything in terms of the animals that we have. We've got the big five in this country. Those who have never seen a lion, they must come here. They will see the lions in this country. And again, I want to say to them, our hospitality, they will be blown away. We've got the best restaurants. We've got the best police force in this country. We've got a country where there's calmness.
Come and have fun.
Have fun and come with an open mind. I think South Africa is a really great country
with our ups and downs, with our hilarious politicians and all. But really, come with an open mind and you'll have the best experience ever.
Don't come alone, bring the families here, no problem. It's a very good country and security is being approved too much. There's nothing there to be scared.
And I think there's a real sense of excitement. Everybody's focusing towards 2010. I don't know quite what will happen after 2010. I imagine there'll be a sort of a real hangover and disappointment. But at the moment, there's a real sense of optimism and enthusiasm for the tournament. And we're talking 6 months before the finals begin, so it's just going to get ever more exciting and passionate and feverish.
Come and enjoy and see our culture and listen to our vuvuzelas. The atmosphere will be very high inside the stadium. Just join us. Yeah.
It's going to be a great television, great soccer, great food, great entertainment. We have the most amazing visual artists, performance artists, dancers. We've got rock bands. I think this is an opportunity for a lot of creative people to be on the stage. I think, you know, when people are not watching the game, they will be treated to amazing hospitality. We have some of the best restaurants in the world, some of the best wine in the world. The Obama family celebrated not with French champagne, but with South African MCC. So there's just so much fun to be had, and it's such a diverse place just geographically. You know, we've got mountains, we've got oceans, we've got the seaside, we've got the wild, and we've also got the people. I mean, the people have their own sort of brand of humor and just way of looking at the world, and you can say hello to strangers here, which is really cool.
So South Africa itself has what it takes when it comes to every talent we have within the country or all over the world. We have everything. South Africa got what it takes.
It's so filled with joy and people are so loving and caring. So don't sit back at home, just come to Mzansi.
South Africa, let's stand and boom our style.
The world must come. This is Africa's first World Cup. Everything is in place. The stadiums are finished and spectacular. They will enjoy the atmosphere in the stadiums. When they go to any of the hotels, they'll find the hotels world class. Our restaurants is amongst the best in the world. And so they must come for a special celebration of this event. Not just glorious football. We have all of the big stars of world football here. And you can think from Kaká to Messi, to Ronaldo, to Lampard. You mentioned them across every one of the 32 countries. They will all be here. So it's going to be a spectacular football show. But it will also be about music, and we're opening with a huge concert. Music, art, is truly a celebration, a big party that we want the world to be part of. And the world must come because it is about our final reintegration with the global football family and the international community. So they must not miss it. It is Africa's first. After 103 years, I don't know when they'll have an opportunity again. This is a once-off opportunity. They must book their tickets, buy their tickets for the matches, and arrive in the country in time for kickoff, 11th of June 2010.
The World Cup is here. In fact, it's in this very same place. It's made its way to 50 different countries all around the continent. Now it's time for the whole world to experience it as well. But guess what? It's going to South Africa, to 9 different provinces between May, and we'll make it on time for the 11th of June when the world's eyes turn to South Africa, Soccer City to be exact, for the biggest celebration the continent has ever seen. The world's nations are coming to Africa, and Africa is ready. The battle lines have been drawn. The draw has taken place in Cape Town. We know who's taking on who. Africa is calling, and it's time to come home.
1,000 people in the world say hi. 1,000 fists in the air, 1,000 ways to fly. Representing Africans worldwide. Now check it out, y'all. 1,000 people in the world say hi. 1,000 fists in the air, 1,000 ways to fly. Representing Africans worldwide. Now check it out, y'all.